I'm John. This is my colleague George, and we represent GenXGrownUp. We're 2/3 of the crew. Our buddy Mo is not here with us. If you listen to the podcast or watch or discuss anything, this is the three of us. And what we wanted to share with you and talk with you about, I assume that some of you have at least were aware we existed before you walked in the door. Maybe you watched us on YouTube or heard our podcast or something. And we kind of want to talk about, share GenX'ers doing this thing that is kind of relegated to kids a lot, but
well, yeah.
now, not anymore, it kind of is.
No, I mean, no, it's, I don't know which stories you want to start with, but
yeah.
I mean, we can start with how you and I started together, because you did it first by yourself. Why don't you talk about how you decided to do it?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, I started GenXGrownUp in about 2017. And I had worked in broadcasting all of my life, in broadcast television or local TV, broadcast news and stuff. And then I worked in the broadcast industry and software development, things like that, for TV stations. So I was always around generating content and making media and stuff like that. And then and ever since I left TV, I kind of had, there was an itch that wasn't being scratched of wanting to create stuff that people saw. And we had a regular poker night once a month to get guys to get together. And one of my buddies in Jacksonville, where I live, my house looks like a museum of garbage that adults shouldn't have in their house. Toys and plastic guns from Gears of War on the wall, and art pieces of Donkey Kong, and just things that I always think old people are so boring when they grow out of the things that they loved and give up on. And I never did. It's just a nerdy, decorated house. And my friend Marcus said to me, "Can you imagine what it would have been like if the 12-year-old you could walk into your house right now and see all this stuff?" And I'm like, it is kind of overwhelming and amazing. And around that same time, as I've told you many times before, my daughter, she's almost 30 now, but at the time, she was still living at home, and she watched YouTube a lot. And I always thought YouTube was, I don't know, it was where you look for a video on how to change the oil pump in a 63 Plymouth, and then you log off. But she was watching it like TV, and I'm like, "What are you watching? Oh, this guy's playing games." I'm like, "So what's he doing?" "Oh, playing games." "Thinks you're watching that? That's interesting." Anyway, so a combination of that, and then she showed me some of the stuff. So you'll like this. They're talking about Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. We saw largely younger folks, millennials,
right,
talking about this stuff that I know intimately and have always loved and never gave up on. And they're like, "This retro stuff, this is amazing, this throwback." And I'm like, "Well, hold on. This is just my stuff." And you, not only, you're new, it's like me talking about the 30s, the 1930s. I've read about it. I can tell you what I've learned, but you weren't there. And I started to put together these pieces that maybe it would be fun to take my knowledge of broadcast, my passion for these, the nostalgic things, and create content that, as a hobby, which what do we call it?
We call it a part-time hobby, full-time job.
No,
or was it the other way around? I don't know.
Full-time hobby, part-time
either way,
job. Anyway, right?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I started, made a few videos, and then I had a couple buddies who I rang up George. He was at a convention, and I said, "Hey, you got to watch this video that I made."
Yeah, that was interesting. So just like PRGE, there's a giant convention in Florida called MegaCon. And I hadn't been, I see some head nods. Some people have been victims of that convention, I see. I hadn't been on the convention scene in 20, 25 years, and I decided to go to that one because there were some interesting guests that I wanted to go see, which ended up canceling. But I was standing in the line to get an autograph of somebody that was on a show that he really liked, and I was giving him for his birthday.
It was the guy from Scorpion,
yeah,
the CBS show, where the guys are super brainiacs, and talk about it. I see nodding heads, so I'm explaining. Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm sitting there in the line, and John sends me a text message, and basically it said something like, "Hey, I want to start a YouTube channel," or "I've started a YouTube channel." I'm like, what the hell do we want to do with a YouTube channel? We're old. What do we want to do with it? There's no point to us doing it. And he's like, "But hold on, I've got a name." And I'm like, "All right." And he sends me the name GenXGrownUp, and I'm like, well, with my background being in business and marketing and advertising and everything, I was like, oh, yeah, that's got a ring to it. I can do something with that. I can find some ways to make that pretty popular, and yeah, we could do something with that. I like that ring. and he told me a little bit more about the idea. And so John, having come from television, one of his original ideas was, I want this to kind of be like a TV station that has a whole bunch of different programs. So some of our earliest videos, you're going to see things on there about video games or building some Lego sets from some IPs that we enjoyed, or
movie reviews.
Right. I did some, at the time I was into drones, so I was doing some drone videos.
The concept that I thought was like, because I came out of television, and I said, well, yeah, people that like this stuff, they're out there, but they don't like just one thing. Nobody here only likes retro gaming. You like retro gaming, maybe you like role-playing game, maybe you like television, maybe you like movies, what are the things? And we thought, just like those kids were talking about games from a retro standpoint, all that stuff, looking at it from a Gen X perspective, is going to hit an audience of the similar age that doesn't want to hear what the kids think of the stuff they're enjoying. They want to hear what their peers think of the stuff they're enjoying. Yeah, and so, we're trying to do everything, all this stuff. With the movie reviews, and that was our buddy Mo, who's not here, he's a ghost. Hey, Mo. That we brought him in because he had doing movie reviews on a website already.
Right.
So you come do the movie part of it. And we dabbled like that for about 2 years, probably.
Oh, I'd say we dabbled longer than that on it, because we didn't really niche down until the event, as I'm going to call
Maybe
it.
till mid-pandemic, probably.
Well, like the event, your event.
Yeah, that was 22. So mid-pandemic. Yeah.
Is that mid-pandemic or is that tail-end pandemic? I don't know.
Whatever.
Either
You
way,
pick
doesn't
it.
matter.
Pick it. Whenever the apocalypse happens.
Yeah.
And that's the odd thing. We also have, you may or may not know, maybe you only know, we have a podcast. Every single week we put out an audio podcast where we toggle between talking about current movies and technology and stuff that we're enjoying, the initial concept of GenXGrownUp, and then we alternate, we talk about a single specific thing.
So I'm going to tell that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How the podcast began?
Yeah. So, as you might have guessed, John likes to talk a lot. And whenever we had one of our calls, which we were doing regularly as we were getting things going and trying to operate like a real organization a little bit with this hobby thing, John told Mo and I one day, he said, hey guys, why don't we do a podcast too? And we're already feeling stretched too thin with what we were doing because we're all creating videos.
We
We're
all
trying to
have
figure out what
full-time
YouTube
jobs
is.
still.
And so he's like, we can just record it and just do it every other week. We'll just do one podcast every other week. It won't be that much. We'll just do it for like 20, 30 minutes and that'll be it. I'm like, okay, well, our phone calls go that long anyway. So yeah, we can do that every couple of weeks. Before we got to the first recording, I really would like to do it every week. And then after like maybe 5 or 6 episodes, the 30 minutes crept up to 40, then it was 45. Now we're struggling to keep it under an hour.
We try to cap it at an hour.
Yeah, but
I think if you turn on a podcast and you open it up and it says 2 hours and 50 minutes, you're like, oh, I don't have time for this. So I figured an hour is a couple commutes. So
yeah, so it was one of those things that kind of like everything in John's orbit kind of gets pushed out, but then you're happy that it is because you've joined something. And John's very passionate and has been his entire life. And we've known each other 34 years, I think we said. 91. Yeah, was when we met.
Yeah.
And then you and Mo met at the second job
I've
where you
known
moved
Mo
over to
about
Jacksonville.
20 years.
Yeah. And we just all had complementary skill sets that have to this point worked out really well. So John, obviously, broadcast television, me in business. Mo is a project manager right now for, is it allowed? Are we allowed to talk?
Yeah, NBA.
So he's project manager for the NBA. Was with the PGA Tour up until a few weeks ago. That's why I can't go to stuff right now because he's just
changed
got this
jobs.
new job. But
so it's interesting, and I think we do this very differently than probably 95% of the people do content creation. A lot of people just go, I turned on the camera and I do this by myself.
Yeah.
And from the outset, I mean, for probably 3 weeks I was by myself. And then I pulled in George, and a few days later we said, Mo, why don't you do this with us too? And it's been the 3 of us. And not only do we have complementary and complementary and contradictory skill sets.
Oh, yeah.
Like we don't match, we don't always mesh, but it's that thing where, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And so we have debates about stuff, we take it very differently. But also the voices on the podcast were 3 very different people.
Sure.
Like Mo grew up in Manhattan. city boy. I grew up in the woods, country boy. You're in the,
I was kind of in the suburbs.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We have different, concepts on things, and so having three voices like that makes it very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've evolved, for sure. We've grown, even though we don't have to grow up, right? That's the phrase.
We have to grow older.
We have to grow older. We don't have to grow up.
That's the whole thing.
So what ended up happening, and I think we started to lean into it real heavily right around that 2022, like you said. YouTube beats you down.
Yeah.
Let me explain that in case anybody in the audience has any illusions of becoming the next YouTube Linus Tech Tip or whatever. YouTube finally just beat us into submission, and we surrendered, like, okay, we'll only talk about retro video games. Because every other video we would do, if I would do one about, I did that one that I really liked, and it was one of my earliest videos, TV show one-hit wonders, like TV shows that only lasted for one season that were really good.
Ended too soon, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Great stuff, but when we found when we did something that was not related to, pretty close to gaming of some sort, YouTube just said, yeah, that's not what we want you to do.
Yeah.
We're not going to really let anybody see this video. And went, oh, this is depressing. Like, let's try another gaming video. And they go, oh yeah, we're going to show that to people. And so you just start, and that's an Ouroboros that kind of eats its own tail, right? It feeds itself. And so we thought the YouTube channel would be just like the podcast, a variety of stuff. And so,
Right.
And the great thing is, it wasn't like, oh, I got to talk about games all the time. That's great. It's just, it's not the only thing I love, like I said. So it's become that. And then we've kind of niched deeper into that. We're kind of like Gen 1, Gen 2 games, Atari era, and television, stuff like that. And it's given us some.
It's almost just exclusive Atari at sometimes, it feels like.
For weeks on end sometime.
Yeah. It's been very interesting. I would say that we noticed, or I certainly, because I'm a statistics guy, I'm a spreadsheet guy, that's kind of my thing. And so I would notice video trends, and I would try to apply, like, oh, I see these patterns happening and everything. I don't know that any of that is
and
accurate.
Nothing was making
YouTube
sense
algorithm.
to your business background, because your background wasn't in media.
But we just kept narrowing down until finally when John got laid off.
Yeah, so toward the end of 2022, job I had for 16, 17 years, something like that, they said, we don't need you anymore. And I'm like, well, that's a bummer. I had no trouble. I had lots of people saying, great. They'd always said, if you ever look for a new job, I had lots of opportunities. But I'm like, so at that time I was 54, 55, I don't know, mid-50s. And if ever I always said, this is so much fun, this hobby. I wish I could just do it all the time. And here was this opportunity, right? So I'd have no job now. I have some severance to kind of float me over. I have some saving because they were working me like a dog, and I was putting overtime in the bank like crazy. So I said, here's a chance where I can try to do this full time. And so the three of us sat down on a conference call, and we had this kind of come to Jesus heart to heart about, here's what I want to do. This is a hobby for us. What if I tried to make it a business? How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, that was an interesting time. So John and I, having known each other for so long, I kind of took it personally that he wanted to do this, and given my...
Like you took offense?
No. Okay. That's what I'm doing now every time you interrupt me, but that's okay.
I'm not interrupting you.
Please.
Well, please continue.
Yeah, okay.
Whenever you're ready. Okay, that was it.
I got all day. They don't, but I got all day. So I wanted to make sure that if we were going to do this, that the company, the business, was financially stable enough for him to know what his runway would be. Like, how long can you go on the bare minimum of salary that you need from this in order for you to have the best, longest runway to try and make this thing work? Because at that point, we were maybe 30,000 subs, maybe 35?
No.
Were we under?
We were
30?
16,000.
We were 16. Wow. Yeah. So we were obviously a tenth of where we're at now.
Yeah.
And I was looking at all the numbers and everything, and we came up with what we were seeing with YouTube and other income revenue sources, and what we thought we could develop as other kinds of, because that's the whole thing with YouTube. If you decide to go into YouTube creation and you want to do that for a living, give up on the idea that the only income source you need is YouTube, because that's not at all accurate. You have to develop other revenue streams. We have a very loyal Patreon group that provide us almost as much as YouTube does in some cases. It's really crazy.
From a quarter to a third of our monthly revenue is literally people saying, I like what you do and want to see you keep doing it. I mean, you can't. Those people just don't fall from trees. You have to earn them and keep them, and they're very generous. Very generous people, very honest and loyal people. They're great people.
And then we have some merch, and we have some other ancillary sponsorships and things.
Podcast advertising.
Twitch.
All these little pieces, the rivulets that come into this little pond that turns into enough to survive. But
I think between what John had saved up from his personal life work and what we were generating YouTube, we had like 6 months at the outside. And we were like, I was watching every penny. I was very careful with everything, and we set up what his payroll could be. And obviously we're still doing it, so
we are 3 years later.
Yeah.
It's 20? Yeah.
We're
3 years later.
I think we're close, not all the way there to your break even, because John also, because of the YouTube channel, he has a couple of personal side revenue sources that he does. So like Retro Days.
Right. Yeah. So I'm a hired gun for a great channel called Retro Days that does once a week. They do these nostalgic videos, and the guy who runs it had been a patron for a long time, supported us, said, I'm starting my own venture. Would you like to be the host of this thing? And I'm like, yeah. So we worked out a deal where I add that into it's again, rivulets that come into to create that sort of thing.
And it's served us well to this point. Now, neither Mo or myself are employees of the company yet. We're still full-time in our own jobs, and we're still doing this, I think, mostly out of enjoyment and partly out of loyalty. But I also have a hope that it would someday turn into a thing that would both bring myself and Mo on full-time as well.
Well, it's like you've been pumping quarters in the slot machine.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to leave now. It's about to cash out,
It's been 8 years, and we've, but every time we get invited to a convention, or every time a vendor reaches out to us and wants us to take a look at their product or their video game, I get, I'm going to say 50 emails a day for us that I go through, press releases, personal reach outs, everything that you can imagine, like, hey, I've got this new little thing, like your guy from Etsy, right?
Paul,
just a guy that reached out to us, and he makes these cool little gadgets that you add on to your controllers that make them more functional or like the older controllers. Just neat little
That's one of those things that come out of, starting to get a little bit of visibility and get a little bit of relationship building. It was like, he's doing these things. He sent it to me just to, initially, we weren't friends, said, here's this thing I'm doing, we'd like to take a look. And I'm like, he recognized the quality of what we do. I recognized the quality of what he did. And we started talking like, let's just do something together. You can give me exclusive launch information, and I can show it off for the first time. That's content no one has. And you get the benefit of people knowing you do this stuff. And that has grown to a relationship that's been very close that we continue to work on. And it's another benefit that we get over everyone else. You always try to look for that, it's not like a competition. Like a lot of YouTube creators in this niche are very cooperative and everything. But
they're single entities.
But you want to be, you'd like to be the first to do something. You want to be, can I be the first to get this product? Can I be the first to talk about this, the way you can tweak this product or whatever, if you can.
YouTube certainly wants you to be
the first. They want you to be the first. There was a triumvirate of things. You have to do it first. You have to do it absolutely the best, or you have to do it in a just divergent, different way than anyone else has ever done it that's of interest. And so the last two rather, are the most difficult to accomplish. If I get it first, that's like a cheat code, right? If you do it best, I'm not the best at anything. You can do something good enough, right? But I don't have a studio and a crew and somebody doing color grading for me or whatever. You do the best you can, and then do it different than everybody else. I mean, what is that? So all those, if you could do it first, that's like the cheat code to get in. So when you get those opportunities and people trust you enough to do that, and they only do that if you continue to regularly build a reputation that, you know, you're fair and honest, and you'll respect people's embargoes and NDAs. And, you're going to burn somebody one time, and they're like, you're not the only YouTuber out there, dude.
Right.
So, you know, we certainly, and so we built enough of a reputation that we do get asked to do things occasionally. That's why we've continued to gradually grow to where now we're, you know, over 10 times where we were when we started.
I would say too,
back then.
this just as an example, anybody here either already own or planning to buy or have at least heard of the Game Station Go? Anybody? Okay, a few of you out there. So one of the things that I'm kind of proud of from this year that a lot of people may not realize is we actually did a lot of the quality assurance testing on that device. So when John went to CES, the time, was that last
2024, they first
2024,
announced
right?
it.
Yep.
The 2025 was the revamp.
Right.
Yeah.
When they presented that thing to us and we did those videos and stuff, or John, I should say, did those videos at CES, and then they started talking to us a little bit more because we're very tight with that company, My Arcade. They said, well, what would you guys do different? Well, that's when John was, this is the only thing that I wish John wouldn't do quite as often.
Be nice.
John's like, yeah, I'll just send me the thing. I used to do quality testing at my old job. I can do all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's a service. Stop
Keep forgetting
it.
It's not a hobby. You know, you're like, oh yeah, we're trying to make revenue. Yeah. Stop being nice.
I said, let me just handle the business side of it. I'll get you a number and then we'll see what we can do. And we pitched them a whole thing because they actually had 9 devices in that line that they wanted us to test. They ended up paring it back down.
The other 8 aren't out yet.
Yeah, they pared it back to the 1. And we brought in, we did the whole quality. This button needs to be in this place, or this paddle needs to be a spinner, or this thing here, and blah, blah. And did an exhaustive QA testing for them in a very short time because they came to us last minute, which is not unusual. And we did all of this work. And the system that came out of that, in my opinion, is the best system that they've put out in a long time. I feel like they really listened because we didn't go just with what John and I and Mo thought. We also listened to you guys from the videos that we had done previously, all the comments.
Kept doing updates. Here's how the latest version of this is.
Yeah.
And I scour the comments and I'm like, listen, the predominant opinion is that this. If you can't do this, we need to think about doing this to, you know, we're in a unique, I'll say unique, we're in a very specific, this specific little bubble, this little box that allows us to have a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of aspect, and access to other people who are like-minded like us, who have opinions about what these things do. And that's that thing that we can now offer as a service, which is cool. It's kind of grown beyond the YouTube.
Yeah, and it's been really rewarding as well to know that our opinions that we've developed over 50 years of loving these video games and these consoles and the history of what our generation grew up with, it's nice to see that it's kind of bearing fruit in this way. I think for me, that's one of the reasons why it's okay not to have a salary, because these companies keep coming to us and recognize that we're experts in this field, and that we also have a loyal fan base and audience that wants to know what we think before they make a purchasing decision. I put out a bit-by-bit video this morning based on just the stuff that I saw around here at the convention, and I've had more engaged comments on my bit-by-bit videos on this one than I've had in a long time. Most of the time it's, oh, nice video, thank you for bringing these things to our attention, that kind of stuff. But here people are like, hey, is Bubsy going to be available on the old Atari VCS? Or, you know, is that laser gun, is it going to have this? You know, those kinds of, it's really nice to get those comments and an engaged audience. It just makes it worth it for me.
And to bring it full circle, if you went back to that kid that my daughter showed me online, who was talking about retro in the third person because he wasn't there, he doesn't know that that's not the right sound when you kill the dragon in Adventure. He just it goes, brrr, or something. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
But if we did, ooh, that's not right to my ear. We did a 7-part series on the arcade 1-up Pac-Man Partycade because the Galaga was running too slow.
God.
Who would have known that other than a dork who grew up in the arcade wasting his quarters to realize that doesn't sound quite right? It's a position that we're able to do, and you talk about, the gratification.
Yeah.
At this, at this show, and more recently as we've grown so much, I find that I can't necessarily walk from one end of the building to the other going to see somebody that someone doesn't either look at me funny or stop me, or both, I guess.
We don't know what the look funny
I don't know what it
part
is,
but
say, hey, I like your channel, or say something, and it's like, these are random humans in the world. It's not my cousin who I told to watch this. This is, regular people that not just watch, not like, oh, thank you for the click. It's like, oh, you're engaging with this. You're enjoying this to the point that if you see that guy on the street, you stop him and thank him. I'm like, that's... And look at the room full of people.
Yeah. I recognize a lot of you guys.
For us, this is a full room of people.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, right? So every single one of you could be out there doing something else right now that is more entertaining maybe, but you're here, and it's
certainly.
like... What are we doing that would pull in, 20 or 30 people in here to sit here and talk, hear what we did? We must be making some kind of impact. And it's that thing that I missed scratching that itch of creating content that people would see or whatever.
Yeah, I don't like to tell those stories because they feel self-aggrandizing, but
no. Well,
it's fun. You know what I mean?
It's not what it's doing to me, it's what it's
Right.
helping me realize the impact that we're making.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying.
Like, I'll never forget the first time at SFGE. So you guys know I'm not on many of the videos, my face at least, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. But I think where I'm most prominent is in the podcast. And we were at a convention in Atlanta called Southern Fried Gaming Expo. It's one of our favorites. It's actually our vacation convention. We go there, we do a couple of panels, and the rest of the time we just have fun. But I was at that, and I was with my son, and we were at one of the vendor booths buying some cool knickknacks and everything. And I noticed that the two people, a husband and wife team behind the table, they started looking at me kind of weird and then whispering a little bit and looking at me weird. And I'm like, I'm not stealing anything. You don't have to turn on security camera. And my son's picking out stuff, and I picked out one thing, and we take it over to where they were setting up for payment. And the gentleman, he comes up and he goes, George? And I went, I don't like this. And he said, I said, yeah. He said, are you George from GenXGrownUp? I'm like, yeah. He said, I recognize your voice from the podcast. I'm like, oh my God, that was so weird and creepy, but thank you, I guess. He was so kind. He ended up like giving my son one of his items for free or something like that. Didn't have to do that. Yeah. But it was those early interactions, because that was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just things like that just totally, the guy who's at the door who, had you guys in the line and everything, walking around, I'm trying to find where our panel room is. Like, he's like, oh, you're George GenXGrownUp. Is John here too? Like, how are these? We're not that big a deal.
I'm just living in my back spare bedroom in a makeshift set, talking to myself in an empty room. And you forget how many people that you see. So
I've seen it. It's not impressive.
Well, it's kind of impressive.
It's no.
Yeah. We have about 15 minutes left. Shall we open it up to
100%? If anybody wants to ask.
We'll see. If there aren't any, then we can be done.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
okay. Go right there.
Question with maybe account. First
Sure.
I big fan of the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
One of the things I really, really enjoy about it is that I always feel like I'm watching someone who I can relate to, that knows, like you said, the games. Because in fact, the fact that you open the boxes with little knife caps, that's me. My big concern, and especially when you're up there, with a guy from business who knows business, is like, hey, it'd be nice to get paid someday. Is the shitification of everything. I feel part of the term, where you see so many channels on YouTube that start exactly like yours. Guy in his bedroom who's just talking, he's like, yeah, I can really get into this. Then all of a sudden some big conglomerations like, we'll give you a bunch of money, and there's clickbait titles and some title card that, guys like, and you'll never believe this, and all this, and AI and all this. Is that inevitable, or are you really trying to avoid it?
I think he's asking about sellout syndrome.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Well, and you know, I mean, we talked about how, you know, George and I and Mo aren't all the same person. It's a great question
Right.
because we struggled with that, you know, and so I know I think we all are what we are to a fault. You know, I think George is a businessman to a fault.
Sure.
I care what people think about me, and I want to have integrity to a fault, you know? And we fight over that. Early on, you know, George was like, I don't care if it's clickbait, we need the views. And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like if they don't have your trust, they won't come back. And so, you know, we've kind of learned to stay in our lanes a little bit. I mean, we ride up on the curb sometimes, you know, but I have fought to maintain a degree of integrity and journalistic. And I'm not a journalist. I wouldn't tell anybody that I am, but I learned what I do from good journalists in broadcast television, and I emulate them. I try to.
And I've fought to keep food on his table.
Yeah. And so, you know, are there going to be, if we can get sponsorship, are there going to be more ads? Yeah, we need them if we're not going to give up. If we want to continue to grow. But I'm always fighting, pushing back against, well, we can only do so much. And he's like, well, we want to do more, you know?
I mean, to his question, and it's a very valid question, it's the first time we've actually been asked that in a panel in the entire time. It's a great question. I kind of want you to come to other panels and ask that question at other conventions.
Just show up.
Right.
Plant.
But I think of the three of us, I would be the most likely to sell out. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've run 7, 8 businesses in my life and had plenty of revenue generating enterprises between me and my father. But the one thing that I've spoken to John about in our conversations, sometimes that have turned into arguments, is at the very beginning, the first 2, 3 videos were his. GenXGrownUp is his. GenXGrownUp has become him. And with 34 years of friendship under our belts, and when I say friendship, we were best men at each other's weddings, right? We've known each other like forever, it feels like. I have a half brother that I don't speak with. This is my brother, right? I made it up in my mind that that's one thing I will make sure we don't do, is sell out. He's right that I'll ask for clickbait titles.
He doesn't want to damage my passion, even though he wants the revenue. He's like, well, John's not going to be happy with that.
Yeah.
It's going to ruin it for him.
Yeah.
So
we have that conversation probably once a month, at least, because I'm like, I really want to do this thing, John, because I think it'll get us paid, but I don't want it to mess up what we're doing.
The short version of your answer is not if we can help it, and we are aware that the enshittification is a real thing that happens. So
I tell you one thing I'm not going to do. We're not going to sell out to a corp. I know a lot of YouTube channels are doing that
Not
when they get
interested
in
in
our
that,
level.
there we go.
I'm not doing that because then we lose control.
All right, let's grab another question. Who else had a hand up? Yeah, did you?
First, I'd like to say, George, I'm really happy to see on the bit by bit that you're actually showing your face. How I actually identified you on the showroom floor the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And that just adds that human touch to it. And for many of these people here might know that John has a separate YouTube channel called John of GenXGrownUp, which I really latched onto when you lost your job because it had that human touch to it.
I started the day I lost my job.
Yeah. You know, and it's great because every day you get 5 to 8 minutes of John of what you're doing, and sometimes my mind's blown about all the everything that you have to do in a day. If I see a 10 to 12 minute video, it's like, uh-oh, what happened today?
Something went down.
Maybe good, sometimes bad.
Yeah.
But can you talk a little bit about how that really bolstered your channel, because that gave a little bit of insight into the trajectory it's now on. But and even that little channel has tripled in size since I started watching. It was like 600 subscribers. It's now almost triple that size.
It's like 1,500.
Can you talk a little bit about how that really affected what you did and how it affected the growth of the main channel?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Digit. I never thought I needed or wanted to create a vlog, but what I do know about myself, I'm at least self-aware enough to know that I need structure and pattern in order to get work done. I can't, without having a job that someone I'm answering to every morning and what time are you clocking in or whatever, I just don't stay motivated. So I needed someone to answer to. And you could say, well, answer to George and Mo, but they're doing their own jobs, right? So I started the vlog to have, because I knew there were a dozen people on the planet who cared that I lost my job, and they would care. And I said, so what I'm going to do is each morning I'll get up first thing. And for the first month, it was I'm really depressed about having lost my job. I'm trying to do this YouTube thing. I'm kind of bummed, whatever. It's not that anymore. It's really like, here's the task I'm working on for the channel. I got 3 videos cooking, whatever. But I needed someone to answer to. I think one of the first or second episodes I said, if ever you wake up one morning and I'm not here, somebody pester me. Because
And they do.
They do. It's 10 minutes late. Where's the vlog, It's given me structure. It's given me...
GenXGrownUp.com/Discord.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
It's given me so much feedback because I can talk to these people who... The only people that stick around are people that have enjoyed the process and the interest. It's not an entertainment vlog. It's just literally some guy standing there talking about what's going on in his stupid life right now as it relates to this YouTube venture. And it's become my board of directors. I hear all these people, I'll say something and they'll go, don't be so rough on yourself, or maybe you should take that more serious, or have you considered? And it's the thing that gets my day started. It keeps me from just staying in my pajamas until noon, because I'm answering to someone. I'm answering to people that have shown me that they care about me and what I'm trying to accomplish. And it's what gives me the energy to keep going when I don't. Imposter syndrome tells you you're not going to accomplish anything. You're not as good as you think you are. You can't do these things.
Oh, yeah.
It's to have people that are in your corner, are paying attention, and they're going to notice if you don't do the thing, because I'm transparent. I'm going to try to accomplish this today. Sometimes I get there the next day and go, I didn't get it done. Now I have to tell somebody that. It's not just, I didn't get it done. Nobody cares. Somebody's listening. Somebody's paying attention. And those people that watch that vlog regularly have become this extended part of, in a very real way, extended part of what allows me to continue to work at this.
Yeah, so I don't have the personal vlog that John does for a lot of reasons. But the bit-by-bit videos that you mentioned, I struggled with those at the beginning, really. They were tough. So just like John, I do enjoy editing. And I don't mind talking. I'm perfectly fine talking and having a conversation with people. Doing the podcast has been a natural thing for me. And I'm not bad when I'm up in front of an audience. I've done that my whole life. It's part of business. But doing something that I was accountable for was a struggle at the beginning, because I kept trying to make sure that it was at John's level, right? So John puts out a video. This is a man with 20 plus years of television directorial experience, right? I'm just some schmo who learned how to put 2 VCRs together and hit play and record on them. And so I was often struggling with, how do I find a workflow? Because I'm good with workflows. If I set up a workflow, I can muscle through that. And it took a while to get comfortable with it. And at first it was just once a week. I was just doing them on Sundays. And then I started struggling with what articles to include, because I wanted to keep the videos around 8 minutes. But in a whole week, I was getting like 500 different articles sent to me. I'm like, I can't include all of that. So then twice a week, and that was a struggle for a little while, because I had to change my workflow. And John laughs all the time. I have spreadsheets set up that help me do all the things with the links and the time codes and, keeping track of all the stuff that I want to talk about in whatever episode I'm doing. But like John, it got to the point where, because he would tell me all the time, don't do it unless you're happy doing it. Don't do it if you're not happy doing it. But I still felt...
Because I know you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
I don't need you miserable,
But I started to feel like I owed it to you guys a little bit. Even if there was, my videos don't get near the views that John's do for good reason. His videos are 100 times better. But when I started to see people commenting in there, hey, you're doing a good job, PLP, or, that kind of stuff.
He said, what's that about?
I did. At first, I was like, where did that come from? I can't remember. And so it really started to do the same thing that he's talking about with his vlog. I started feeling accountable.
And that's motivating for me.
Yeah.
You're feeling that too?
Yeah, like the one that I released for today, I was worn the hell out last night. It was
ending in the hotel after dinner at midnight to get that out.
And I thought I'd left my laptop power cord at home, and I was like, I can't find my mouse. I have to tell you,
George has plenty of quit in him. A lot of times
I do have.
He's like, I don't know, it's too much work,
Yeah.
But he is motivated by an audience.
Yeah, it's been good. I have a lot of ideas. That's kind of an entrepreneurial thing, but if it gets to a point where I feel like it's not worth the squeeze, then I just move on to something else.
Let's try to catch another question.
Yeah.
We got some more. Hey, we're here.
So, with all respect to George, because I'm kind of catching up, I started watching John
Sure.
on GenXGrownUp.
No, that's the correct answer.
I feel like our backgrounds are parallel because I used to work in broadcasting as well.
Oh, yeah.
I was a director, I was a videographer, I was
Sure,
an editor.
of course.
I'm curious about the technical process of how you guys do the videos. I want to know what you edit on. I want to know what you shoot on. I want to know what your background is. You know,
Yeah.
were you a director? I think George just alluded to that. Or
Yeah.
were you, obviously, it sounds like from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You weren't, on-camera talent.
I'll try to be very brief with that. I don't know who I'm going to bore if I
Make a
don't.
video about that, I'd be curious.
Yeah. Very guerrilla, very, I do most of my on-camera stuff. I have a nice Canon M50, mirrorless camera. Most of the stuff, everything else I shoot on a phone camera most of the time because there's really good software in these now. You can lock down your iris and your focus and everything and not get the wah-wah, that you can see on so many videos. I edit in a prosumer piece of software called CyberLink Power Director. I would get out of it, but all of my templates are in it, and I'd have to start over. I keep meaning to go there, and I was a broadcast television director at WCTV, CBS affiliate in Tallahassee, Florida, for almost 15, 20 years there. I got 2 local Emmys. I loved that job. I got an opportunity to do something else. And I was a television broadcast director, but I also did a lot of voiceover work for commercials. Sunday! Tickets are $20. You'll only need the edge of that seat. But it was that kind of stuff that I missed doing, was doing stuff that, just knowing that, my voice is on this local, potted fern commercial, like, that's me on TV, it's really cool. And it's that itch that I was talking about. And also working in broadcast was the people I talk about that I respect and I learned journalism from. I never call myself a journalist, but I believe in the journalistic process of, telling the truth. You're not there to bash, you're not there to applaud, you're there to give I guess you would say I'm an editorial journalist, if anything, right? Here's what I think about it, here's what I think you might like or dislike about it, so. Yeah, we're starting to get the budget where we can actually get equipment that isn't $15 on Amazon, but is like, okay, maybe we'll get a good piece of hardware.
I get so frustrated. He's like, George, I found this really cheap microphone for $15. I'm like, go spend $100, damn it.
Get the good one.
I'm tired of you returning and buying. Just buy something nice.
Yeah, and I've thought many times about a gear video, like you're talking about, but that's that conundrum. If I spend time doing that, YouTube is not going to show that to anyone. The people that love it are going to love it. They'll be very interested, but there's nowhere I can post it.
On your vlog, maybe?
Maybe I should be spending that time doing something
your
else.
vlog in your regular video. Hey, if you want to see more about how we do the production.
Something over there.
Yeah, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, and that's the conundrum of being, though I'm not a one-man band, in video production I am, right? We're a group, but I produce. And so anytime, it's a budget. Time is my budget. And I go, hey, I could spend time doing that, or is my time better spent doing this?
Yeah, it's true.
I have 100 video ideas, which one makes sense right now?
Like, we've struggled a lot. We want to include more behind-the-scenes stuff on Patreon as an incentive to get people to go there and support. But
You gotta spend time to make it.
Yeah, it's where our resources best allocated. Right now, I need him creating 4 to 6 videos a week on YouTube just to keep that number where we're on the continuous runway.
Yeah. So a question over there, right? Yeah. Oh, tell me 5 minutes. Okay.
Oh.
And now we have one. One minute.
Shut the hell up
I thought you were
and
saying
get
you're
out.
number 1. I didn't know. Hey, go ahead.
Quick question. So I came across you, I was looking at some arcade one-up stuff.
Sure.
Little video ones, that's how I discovered you. And I do feel like you're very honest when you're reviewing this product. How hard is it to be honest when you're receiving those products to review?
Yeah.
I do feel like you are honest about it, but is that hard?
Tell him about Samsara.
Oh yeah. That's so. He's asking, how hard is it to be honest? Somebody gives you something, do you feel this obligation to praise it? We have a great relationship with Atari. Fantastic, great people there. When they announced this Metroidvania a couple months ago called Adventure of Samsara, I was very critical of it. Because here's my opinion, I don't think it makes sense, here are my reasons. It wasn't like, this is garbage, boycott. I gave a ration. And they got very, I won't say upset, they were unhappy with me.
Yeah.
They're like, that didn't help. You said this, and I'm like, I went back and said, nothing I said was a lie. I said factually. I highlighted things you'd rather me not highlight. If a company expects you to say something purely positive about them in exchange for their stuff, then we're not going to work with them.
Yep.
We work super close with My Arcade, and I've trashed My Arcade. And you know, my trashing is not terrible. This is disappointing. This should have been better. I can't believe they're still doing this right. Here's what's good about it. If you're interested, you know, I believe my position is to help you make an informed buying decision, period. So I'm going to tell you what I think is good, what I think is bad. I know we're out of time. Sorry. What I think is good, what I think is bad. And it's knowing those great journalists I grew up in the business with. You know, you be fair, but you cannot tell me what content to put out. If that's a requirement, we don't work with them. And
That's where some of our struggles come in, because I'm on the other side of the fence. I'm like, we need to keep our relationships solid, because our relationships are part of the thing that feed what brings cash in for us. But like I said a little while ago, I'm more protective of what he's creating than I am of a relationship with somebody who's going to get us to do something that we don't want to do. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. We have all different personality, like John said at the very beginning. John's more directed, very calm. I'm more bombastic. I'm a little bit more of an attitude. Mo is kind of a little bit more of a passive guy.
yeah, he's a very water off a duck's back kind of guy.
Right.
So that takes all types. Yeah.
So, but I think that's what I like about our channel. If I was an outside person, I think I would appreciate the most that we found a way to bring all these personalities together and mesh them somewhat successfully.
Yeah, well, enough to get you here in this room sitting with us. I'm grateful to each of you for being
Either
here.
that or they were just looking for a place to sit after lunch.
I mean, I'll take it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Love you for being here. You want to come up? Got a couple of stickers.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and here are a few more videos for you to check out.